Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SoFi Q1 earnings prediction. This is for 2024. The earnings date is actually coming up on April 29th. So you're going to see a lot of different YouTubers put out their own sort of predictions for the earnings. I wanted to be first. I don't know if anyone else has posted any. I haven't seen any. So I wanted to just give my thing out without being biased by anyone else's numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, for new members, 610,000 new member additions. I took into account the website traffic that we've been seeing. However, although it's been record breaking, which makes some people think that we'll see record breaking levels of new members, I don't think that's the case. See, back whenever we saw our highest member additions back in Q3 of 2024, what we ended up seeing was App Store traffic and Google Play Store actually ranking us much, much higher versus a lot of the other financial institutions. And so we went from sort of the 30s and 40s area that we usually set in to all the way up into the teens. About 16, I think, was our highest, 19-ish area. That was sort of around the Taylor Swift concerts. Now, whenever that was happening, we could really see that new member additions was going to happen. That really wasn't the case this quarter. Okay. We didn't see our numbers move very much. We sort of stood in that 30s area. And so, although I want to be very similar to Q4 here, I am adding an additional amount for the record website traffic that we have been seeing, which is leading me to 610,000 new members. Additionally, whenever we look at new products, what we can see is about 900,000 new products versus the 700,000 that we saw last quarter. This is going to be an increase much, much higher than what we saw on new members, although we slowed down on a member quarter over quarter change. This will actually be an acceleration of product quarter over quarter change. And that's actually because the products per member is increasing in my view. Okay. Along with that is also the assumption that financial services to lending products is actually going to skew more in the favor of financial services. So, what does that mean? Well, about 841,000 new financial services products and only 61,000 new lending products, which is actually a slowdown from Q4 of 2023. We're going to hit that beautiful milestone of over 10 million products that we've signed in just financial services alone. But let's continue. Technology platform. Okay. I think that we're going to break another milestone, over 150 million new accounts, in addition of 6 million new technology accounts. Some people will say that's very low comparatively to what we've seen. I think that we haven't seen a lot of new signatures. Galileo hasn't been posting anything on their own website. And just going through and looking at our own research as a SoFi community, we really haven't seen a lot that we've been sort of looking for. So I think that this will be 6 million new accounts from the existing clients that we already have, like Robinhood, Chime, Dave, etc., but not as many from new institutions. That, for the rest of the year in this top secret category, will actually accelerate, in my opinion. But you're going to have to wait to see that. That's all locked up. Now, in terms of revenue, okay, there is going to be a deceleration in revenue. Actually, not just a straight decrease. About 7% decrease in revenue to $572 million, okay? This is not due to financial services. That's going to continue to increase about 11.3%. But lending revenue, playing for the massive part of our revenue overall, is going to decrease roughly 5%, in my view. Now, technology revenue also going to increase about 5%, but still, lending just makes up such a large portion of the overall earnings that is going to decelerate just a little bit. Corporate revenue. Before was about $26 million in the positive direction. That's not usually normal for SoFi. They usually see about negative 20 million. I think that's what we're going to see once again, negative $20 million on the corporate revenue side. EBITDA. Before, very high, $181 million. That was exceptionally high for the quarter. I think that that's going to see a drawback. And this also falls in line just a little bit with SoFi's guidance. I actually have it above their guidance, above their high side. They have it at about 110 to 120. I think it'll probably come in around 126 million, roughly in there. That's at a 22% margin, which is still a decrease quarter over quarter, large increase year over year, however. Net income. Now, Last quarter was our first positive quarter, $48 million. Very high, 8.8% margin. That's not going to carry over into the next quarter. So I actually put it at a 4% margin, seeing just over $23 million in net income, which actually goes above SoFi's guidance. Practically across the board, if we were to look at my prediction here for SoFi's financials, I actually go above and beyond what SoFi is saying for their high side of their guidance. Usually, whenever you're looking at revenue, their revenue per lending products, financial services, technology, I'm kind of above their guesses, above EBITDA, above net income. But I also do believe that we're going to see a double beat and raise strategy from SoFi here. In terms of what we've seen previously, these are annual years: 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Let's talk about how these numbers affect 2024. As time goes on, my numbers are going to change. As we get more information, as we realize that potentially the macro has eased in the benefit of SoFi, or potentially we get, rate increases or something along these lines that actually throw a wrench into SoFi's case, that these numbers will get adjusted. But this is my assumption for 2024. 2.7 million new members. Okay. That'll be an increase of 36% members year over year, or increase on members year over year. Products will increase about 38% year over year. So actually an increase, really see that cross sell happen better than it did in 2023. And a lot of this is going to be from financial services, adding an additional 3.8 million new financial services products. Lending is going to play a role in this, however, much lower than what we saw in 2023, and perhaps even lower than what we saw in 2022. This is just in terms of products, doesn't actually mean that we might see, higher or lower originations. I did not make an assumption based on that. Now, lending year over year is going to, in terms of products, is still going to increase by 14%, but not anywhere near what we've seen in the last couple of years. Financial services ratio is going to continue to increase to 86.62%, in my opinion. And products per member is going to try to eke out to that 1.5 times once again. By the end of 2024, I believe that we're going to add about 29 million new technology accounts, leading to 175 million, an increase of nearly 20%. And revenue for the full year. Let's get to the full revenue base. So revenue, I actually think, is going to increase by 27.7% to $2.65 billion, much higher than SoFi's guidance. Okay. Much higher. I'm practically doubling their assumption. Financial services is going to grow by 85.85%, much higher than their assumption of 75%, and also better revenue per product of $61 per account. Lending is going to actually decrease to $717 per account. That's also a shift from, sort of personal loans to more student loans and home loans at the end of the year. We'll see that. But lending year over year change still 2%. So I'm actually in a very rare category of people that think lending could have the opportunity to grow. I actually think that that's potentially the most likely scenario, just because of how much space that they actually cleared up. They'd be pretty safe to do so. And they'll be making a lot of money by selling the loans to actually clear up a lot of the space. So I don't think that they are going to be negative or worse than what we saw in the years prior. Lastly, technology platform, I think, will grow both on a per account base to 270 to 272, not too much of a difference, but still an increase of 21% in terms of the technology platform revenue. That's Galileo and Technisys combined. Now, EBITDA, 22.3% margin, year over year change, 36.74% to a total of $590 million. And then net income, what we can see, 129 million, a margin of 4.87%. But let me know how this compares to your guys' predictions for SoFi. And if you want to see, like going back to the spreadsheet, if you want to see all the way out to 2030, there's usually not these top secret bars underneath, or for all of these quarters, or even for my product predictions. See, I use SoFi as a case study for the Future Investing Pro course, which is actually going through my growth investing strategy. Hint, it's a lot of stuff like this, understanding the financials and the fundamentals of companies rather than just trying to predict price action or something like this. And that's how we might actually find our alpha, is understanding companies better than our competitors. If you're interested in that, you guys can check that out. Right now, it's at the lowest price you're going to see it at before we actually release our next case study, which is on Nubank. That should be happening within the next month or so. So check it out before the actual price rises whenever that next case study comes out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your time. But bye for now.